and the required constitutional spread. I believe the fact that the Supreme Court insisted on constitutional spread is in recognition of the fact that the Constitution does not want a situation in which anyone, governor or president, preside over the affairs of a state without at least a joint two-third support of the electorate of that state. Clearly, the votes scored by PDP and their candidate in that election was only met the requirement in 5 local governments, and you need 6 local governments to meet the requirement of two-thirds. The PDP candidate did not satisfy this requirement. Now INEC are now choosing to appropriate the powers of the court, to appropriate judicial powers to interpret laws that is neither competent to do, nor does it have the mandate so to do. Rather than allow the court, if there is conflicting interpretation, to clarify the issues, INEC sought to appropriate judicial powers and choose to proceed without any express order from the Supreme Court to purport to have cancelled or voided or waste the vote casted in favor of APC in order to be able to have a dubious spread in favor of PDP. INEC failed to recognize that its responsibility does not include legal interpretation. And the Supreme Court did not ask INEC to go and begin to assume judicial powers. All it had regard to do was to do a simple arithmetic. Who has the next highest vote? Does such person have the required spread? If the answer is no, INEC can do no more. Now INEC has decided to now assume that the case of Bayelsa is exactly the same case as that of Zamfara. Now in so doing, INEC has assumed judicial powers. Yet, people, elementary student, 100 level law student knows that the issue in Zamfara is quite different from that of Bayelsa State. In Zamfara State, the Supreme Court held that APC did not conduct primaries. And since we didn't conduct primaries according to the Supreme Court, we could not have candidates. Because primaries are a requirement under the law, under the Electoral Act, and also under our party constitution. In the case of Bayelsa, the Supreme Court recognized that primaries have been conducted. It upheld those primaries as valid. However, it had issues with the qualification of the running mate of our candidate. This case is exactly the same as was the case with Adamu Muazu in 1999 in Bayelsa State, when the court found that after the election, the deputy governor to Adamu Muazu had issues with his qualifications. The Supreme Court, having accordingly nullified the candidature of or disqualified the running mate, proceeded to nullify the election and order for fresh elections to be conducted by INEC within 90 days. And in the process, the PDP candidate then, Adamu Muazu, was allowed to nominate another candidate as a running mate. This is exactly the same case as we have in Bayelsa. But unfortunately, INEC are choosing to adopt Zamfara. I wrote to INEC after the deliberation by WC and after the necessary legal opinion that if it was the intention of the Supreme Court to nullify or to declare the vote casted in favor of APC as wasted, the Supreme Court should have said so. INEC cannot import into the judgment nor delete anything from the judgment. Its responsibility is to comply in full, not to seek or try to assume what the implications of the judgment is. When it does that, as it has tried to do, it has exceeded its mandate in law. Therefore, as a party, we have consulted and we have resolved that we do not accept and we reject in total the decision of INEC to illegally declare the PDP candidate as the winner of the election and purported to waste the votes casted in favor of the decline. We, of course, recognize that having now purported to have swear in, issue certificate to PDP, we still believe that there are viable legal windows that we will explore. We see our firm confidence in the judiciary, even with the pace in our heart, because we recognize that in a democracy, you just must have a judiciary that may give judgment that sometimes you are happy with, and some other times you are not too happy. But we must live with it, particularly when it comes from the Supreme Court. But what we quarrel with today is not the judgment of the Supreme Court. What we don't agree is the attempt by INEC to constitute itself into a court and appropriate judicial powers which the Constitution of Nigeria never vested in INEC. So, we want to put the people of Nigerians on notice, and in particular our people in Bayelsa, that while we maintain the peace, because we have responsibility for law and order, we will, however, sustain the legal processes to ensure that nobody hide under judicial cover to impose minority rule in Bayelsa State. Democracy is a game of numbers. It could not have been the intention of the Supreme Court that a man who didn't have the spread be sworn in as a governor. That was why the Supreme Court expressly made that conditional provision. INEC has chosen now to declare somebody who did not meet that requirement. So even INEC is in contempt of the decisions of the Supreme Court. We will, along with others, exploit every peaceful legal means to overturn this illegal imposition by INEC and attempt to weaken and even destroy the fabric of our democracy. It's about minority will have their say, majority will have their way. The situation where you now impose the will of the minority or the majority can't stand, whether on the basis of democratic logic or on the basis of the express provisions in the appropriate sections of the Nigerian Constitution, which gave birth to INEC, and under which we have the judicial system, the legislature, and executive. So briefly put, we are going to court and we will seek legal redress. We ask the people of Bayelsa to maintain the peace. We believe that it is not over. As you say, you do not start to laugh at the crocodile until you are sure you have crossed all the rivers. They have only crossed one river. There are several rivers ahead. They turn out that they start laughing at the crocodile too early. And we submit to the process. We have confidence in the system. Thank you very much.
Some analysts are calling for your arrest over the statements you made yesterday. How will you react to this?
What statement did I make? What was the statement?
That nobody should be sworn in Bayelsa today.
No, I think let me state what I said. Neither PDP nor APC, the court has nullified the denial, so he cannot be sworn in. But I also said PDP didn't meet the requirement, and therefore PDP cannot be sworn in. Obviously, when you have such a legal lacuna, our constitution envisages it. In such a situation, the Speaker of Bayelsa State House of Assembly has to be sworn in, and within 90 days, INEC conducts election. That is our position. But I didn't want to preempt INEC to say that the Speaker has to be sworn in. But that is the position of the law, that if there is no governor then the speaker assumes office. In this case, there was no governor because APC that won the election was nullified. The next person with the highest vote did not meet the requirement as ordered or as declared by the Supreme Court. So if none of the two candidates met the requirement, none of them can be sworn in. And what then happened is that the speaker ought to have been sworn in, and if anybody has difficulties with this interpretation, the person will then approach the court. And no damage will be done to the system. If either party goes to court to challenge that interpretation, and the court finds in their favor, the speaker can be advised to return to the house as a speaker. No damage is done. But if fundamental damage is done when you impose a minority governor on the majority. And as for lawyers calling for my arrest, there are also lawyers who believe that there is a legal lacuna. And you know, I always advise, be careful with not only electronic lawyers, also be careful even more with anonymous social media lawyers. I can write in social media as a barrister, Oshiomhole Square. Any other question?
Sir, as of today,
Who should play will depend on the findings of those who are empowered in law to carry out investigation if there is a criminal act. It is not for me to sit down and make assumptions about who. It is the investigation that should dictate, that should lead to that act as to who is to blame.
Yeah, that's all Chandler, my name.
Now you're asking me what is our advice to the people of Bayelsa State. I think I've said that. I said first that we want to assure them that APC as their favored party as reflected in the way they voted, we start by them at this hour. Together, we will resist through the legal means any attempt to impose a minority that was rejected by the people, by INEC. INEC in this case disobeying the express orders of the Supreme Court, which insisted on spread. INEC has sworn in someone who didn't have that spread. So we ask them to trust that the party will stand by them. We will work with all the stakeholders in Bayelsa State and ensure that this issue is resolved peacefully and legally.
Okay, then, sir, stakeholders in APC are...
Let me say this clearly. We have to accept the judgment of the Supreme Court because they are supreme, not because we agree that our candidate did not have or a forged document. I ask you as professional journalists to put on your investigative cap and go through the pleadings of the applicants. They never at any point accuse the deputy governor-elect of which is now notified. He was never accused of any criminal act. They did not accuse him of forgery. Right? But the Supreme Court in its wisdom choose to use those words. Now who are we to question the Supreme Court? As has been well stated in many quarters, they are supreme, not because they are infallible. They are infallible because they are supreme. I cannot add or subtract from that. And I also do recognize, and I said so earlier, that we recognize our limits, with the means of our pains. Now, to suggest that if we have screened well, if a man tells us that this name and this name mean the same, it is just that this is my traditional title. Number two, don't forget that the deputy governor in question, whose election has now been notified, was a city senator at the time he was nominated. The qualification for being a governor is the same qualification for being a senator. And it is the same document that were used for his election as a senator that he provided to INEC, no evidence that he added or subtracted. So if he was eligible to be a senator in the eyes of the law, and suddenly becoming eligible to be a deputy governor. I mean, it is for you and I to ask God to help us to overcome such a confusion. But, you know, as they say, success has many fathers. Failure is an orphan. Those who are saying so, I didn't see any advertorial or any public commendation when we won the election for the first time in Bayelsa without one gunshot, without anybody being hospitalized, without anybody being detained. For the first time, Bayelsas were unanimous, and they conducted what amounts to the most peaceful election in the history of Bayelsa State. So, but let me also admit, as a leader, I can't run away from the saying that a leader is a dustbin, everybody threw trash at it. It doesn't stop me from who I am. Yeah, that should be the last.
Good for those coming out the last one.
I ran the election twice when I was governor, and to my credit, I launched one man, one vote. I fought PDP, Godfather, we defeated them without firing a gunshot. We emphasized the power of the ballot, peaceful ballot. You know how many lives were wasted? We read in your newspapers, police officers have been beheaded where? Please answer, where? Rivers. Army officers killed. Where? Rivers. Who was declared the winner of that violence, election violence? Was it not Wiki? So if it's the one talking about when the doctors begin to challenge the arterial for a race, you know that something is wrong. So for my dear friend, I understand the problem. He had condemned Dixon for the loss of Bayelsa. He agreed that they lost Bayelsa, and he condemned Dixon for it. Dixon accused him of anti-party activity, that he was mentally into the internal affairs of Bayelsa. I think he wanted to use me to regain his dubious membership for PDP. And I don't understand that politicians must always find a way to stay safe. And I hope PDP forgives him, because for us, well, he's the governor of Rivers, and I have a lot of respect for him as a president, and even more respect for his office. Thank you very much.